today to the Tyler City Council meeting for this Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. I will lead us in the prayer and pledge. We do have a quorum. Councilman Sellers is on the phone. So if you'll please stand with me. Lord Jesus Christ, may the words of our mouth and the inspiration of our hearts be pleasing to you this day. Give us the courage to do your will and the strength to see it through, so that when people, the citizens of Tyler, see our actions or hear our words, they truly only see you shining through. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay. Z1. Kyle, thank you.
Sorry for being a few minutes late.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning, Kyle.
This is a closure request for a portion of alley right-of-way. This is for, it's actually for South Vine Avenue. The applicant intends to replat their half of the right-of-way into their property. The properties to the west are currently developed with the Children's Advocacy Center of Smith County. The properties to the east are currently undeveloped and are zoned for single-family residential. Any utilities present within the right-of-way would be required to be dedicated at the time of the replat. The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a 6-0 vote, recommends approval of the alleyway or the right-of-way closure within 6 months.
Questions of Kyle?
Move to approve Z1.
Second.
I think I have to do, I just have someone here available for questions, but I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Cassandra, did you need to know who the motions came from?
I will hear the second, who will the second?
I don't know.
I make the motion. I don't know who made the second.
I think
Yeah, Broderick made the motion.
you
I
made the second.
Yes.
Super. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, and Councilman Sellers is on the phone.
Oh, great. Good.
Yes.
So now we're on to Z2.
This is also a alleyway or a right-of-way closure. This is in City Council District Number 4.
They're probably here.
The applicant is requesting the closure of the unimproved right-of-way for or off of North Horace Avenue. This is for Highland Dairy Foods.
Are we taking a music break or something? Is it?
Good morning.
Y'all take care.
Okay, so this is just the alleyway. This is part of the Highland Dairy expansion is to incorporate this alley into their property. Mm-hmm. And so with the Planning and Zoning Commission, by a 6-0 vote, recommended approval of the alleyway closure, subject to the alley being replatted within 6 months.
Sounds great. Is there any questions of Kyle?
No. I move to approve Z2.
I move to approve.
Okay, so we have a first, a second, and a third. So Cassandra, take it any way you'd like. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Great. Thank you, Linda.
This next request is a zone change from R2 to M1 Light Industrial. This is also for Highland Dairy Foods, part of their expansion project. The properties to the north and west are zoned R2, two-family, and they're developed with single-family homes. And the properties to the east and south are zoned M1 light industrial. It is the location of the existing Highland Dairy Food plant. This property is located within City Council District Number 4. This request would amend the future land use guide from single-family, medium, low density to light industrial warehouse. The applicant intends to plat that alley into this property and then expand the parking lot for the Highland Dairy Foods. Of the notices sent, none were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. And by a 6-0 vote, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the request from R2 to M1.
Any questions of Cobb?
Move to approve Z3.
Motion by Westbrook, second by McKellar. I want to appreciate Highland Dairy for coming to our community and bringing the jobs with them, and they really did focus on this site early, and they've been a good partner. They're following through with everything that they told us they would do, and we're excited to have them in Tyler. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Z4.
This is a zone change request from R2 two-family to DBAC, Downtown Business Arts and Culture District. This is in City Council District Number 4. And the applicant's requesting the zone change to allow for the development of a 28-unit apartment complex. The properties to the east and south are zone M1 light industrial and are developed with single-family homes and industrial uses. And the property to the north is zone M1 and R2 and is currently undeveloped. This request would amend the future land use guide, or actually it is consistent with the future land use guide, which identifies the property as high-density mixed-use center. This is in the downtown area, and this request would further the goals of more residential uses or higher-density residential use in the downtown area. Of the 18 notices sent, 1 was returned in favor and none in opposition. The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a 7-0 vote, recommends approval of the zone change from R2 to DBAC.
Super. Are there any other questions of Kyle?
No, it's exciting to see development like that come to downtown.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, it sure is.
Motion by McKellar, a second by
Second.
Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
I can't hear council.
Well, you need to come on up here.
Sellers, to my sellers.
So we're having trouble with TV. She may not be able to hear, and she may not be able to speak.
But we actually have a quorum, right?
Yes.
Do you want to wait, pause just a second to see if we can get her back on? I'll be more than happy to do that.
Mayor, can you hear me all right? We're having a little difficulty hearing you in the live stream.
Hey, Jennifer, we can hear you.
Patricia, you're going to have to take over producing. My computer is about to sign out.
All right, Cassandra's going to take over.
No, we can't hear you at all.
Well,
Sellers can't read.
if she's on the phone and if she can watch us, is there any way that she could relay her votes to Cassandra and or Deborah by phone or something? Oh, okay. Do you want me to get her on the telephone? I just talk to her as we go along. She'd be on my speakerphone. Deborah, is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be good.
If I just put her on my phone? I'll just do that. Let me do that. Sure. I think everybody has my cell phone, but I don't think I should give your cell phone number out if you wouldn't let me do it.
And Mayor, keep in mind, Steve Ruth is on the line for Z5 once you ask the questions.
Oh, he's on the phone?
Yes, I have him at Z5.
For Z5.
If, for questions only, if there are any,
He
right?
wants to speak.
Oh, he does.
He does want to speak? Okay. What do y'all want to talk about? No, I can't do that. Look, the city attorney just looked at me and shaking her head. Oh, that was awesome.
You did get the look.
I got the look immediately on that one. I knew I would.
And it's recognizable with the mask on
I
or
know,
off.
I know. What did-
Councilmember Sellers, can you hear us?
Y'all really having that much trouble?
We have a quorum, so we can go ahead.
Then let's actually go to the presentations and we'll come back to C5. You want to do that?
Absolutely.
Let's do, Nancy, you want to come up and do P1, please?
Mayor,
We
Mr.
finished C4, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was the official vote taken for C4?
Yes, it was.
And then Ruth is on the phone for Z5.
Okay.
4 was voted on. Okay, so we're going to skip Z5. We're going to go to P1, and then when Linda's on the phone, we'll decide if we do P2 or Z5. But right now, we'll do P1. Come on up, Nancy. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Good. I'm Nancy Ariano Rangel, and I'm here to provide an update for our Census 2020 East Texas Complete Count. I wanted to first and foremost thank you all for allowing us to have this Census Complete Count Committee that was established by you and appointed last year in September of 2019. I do want to note that I am not a Census Bureau employee. I'm not part of their staff, so the information that I'm going to relay and provide to you all is information that's coming as secondary data from their census website. And Michael Howell is here with me also, and he has been my right-hand person throughout this entire process, so thank you for that. Let me start off by using our platform here today to describe to our viewers also about our census. I'm going to try to do that too, to give them some information and data as far as what is the census. So the census is just a simple terms, a count of people and households in the United States. So why do we use the census? It's important because it helps us with decision making in governments and in communities. According to the census, their mission and purpose is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality and data about its people and also about its economy. What is their purpose? We know their mission, but what is their purpose? To conduct a census of the population and the housing and to disseminate this information to our president, to our states, and to our American people. So why do we complete the census? There's several reasons, but I'm going to point out a few also to our viewers, so that those that are watching, we can also provide this as a platform to educate them and bring some awareness as well. It is required by law. We're required to do this every 10 years by the United States Constitution. It started in 1970, and it's been every year ending in zero since then, for representation and also for funding. We utilize it for those three reasons. In representation, it determines the number of seats that we're allowed to have for the United States House of Representatives. And if for funding, it determines how much of the, excuse me, of more than sorry, my allergies, $675 billion is used in federal funding. So this is three of the reasons why we utilize, and it's so important for us to complete the census. The next slide. And also, there's three other reasons, for planning, for decision-making, and for data. It informs our government and our business and community and planning decisions. It provides also a benchmark for the population. It's very important for us to utilize that information because we use it on a day-to-day basis to be able to make decisions, a lot of for our businesses, to know where should we market our business, what areas should we, etc. And in simple terms, how does it impact us on a daily basis? It impacts us in public housing, healthcare programs, early learning, schools, financial aid, hospitals, nursing homes, roads and highways that we utilize every single day, emergency services, and so forth. This is important information for our viewers to know. Just why is it so important? I wanted to show you all the 2020 census, what the original plan was, so that you can also know, and I'm going to give you the updated new dates that they have given and provided to us. So we were given 4 or 5 different phases. One was supposed to be an education phase, awareness phase, motivation, reminder, and then the final was a thank you, which should have been, we're done, we're complete, as far as collecting all of the data, which was scheduled for July of 2020 of this year. And then the next slide, you'll see these are the new dates. So according to our census, this is their new messaging. We are adapting and delaying some of our operations to protect the health and the safety of our staff and the public, and to make sure that we get the same population counted another way. And these are some important dates that I want to give to everyone. So starting July 16th is when the census takers will go back out, start back out, going door knocking and being able to recuperate that data from households. August 11th now is when, and in the subsequent weeks, is when they're going to be reopening new offices again to start operations once again. September 24th, which the original deadline was April 1st, is when they're going to be counting people that are more in the homeless districts, like under the bridges, in the parks, all-night type of businesses. September 28th, which the original date was May 4th, is now September 28th. That's when they're going to be counting transitory people, people that stay in campgrounds, RV parks, etc. October 31st is the new deadline, basically. So we have, and the original plan schedule was for the self-response rate was originally between March 12th to end on July the 31st. And now that is October 31st. That's the new deadline. So that means that any online, any phone call, any mail-in responses can all be done and made up until that date. And that's when the census takers will also be going out to homes to be able to get a lot of that information from individuals as well. In the next slide, it shows the apportionment and the redistricting. Because of all of that, normally all the self-responses get gathered. What ends up happening is then the Census Bureau staff has to go behind the scenes, clean up the data, work on their programs to be able to get this information disseminated as law requires to our president, to our states, and to our American people. April 30th, which original deadline was December 31st, is now when the process apportionment counts. That means that they go in the behind the scenes and collect the data and start looking at doing runs and review outputs and those types of things behind the scenes. One of them, 2 of the dates that I want to note is April 30th is now when they are going to provide this information to our president of 2021. Okay, so the original deadline was supposed to be December 31st of this year when they would provide this information to our president. So that has been pushed back to April 30th of 2021. Also, another important date to note is July 31st. They have until July 31st to provide this data to our states for redistricting purposes. So the original planned date for this was January the 1st through March 30th. So March 30th was their original deadline, but now that has been pushed back to July 31st of 2021. So note that so that you all can keep that into your information as we move on forward with redistricting. The next slide. So we had our, and this is not all of us, we had about 45 members of our Complete Count Committee that was appointed by our Tyler City Council here in September 2019. We met that same month to be able to discuss an overview of goals and strategies of what we wanted to do moving forward. October 2019, we had our grand opening of our area census office here located in Tyler. And then in November, we met again to discuss, we renamed ourselves to UCount East Texas, and we actually met to discuss how do we target our hard-to-count communities? What strategies can we come up with? So we decided to create work groups in those hard-to-count committees, and we assigned chairs for each one of those. So for example, we had one for government, media, education, nonprofit, Hispanic, African-American, veteran, and faith-based. And we had chairs for each one of those. In December, we met to finalize what was our plan starting in February of 2020 as far as events. Well, actually from February all the way through July, because the original deadline was July 31st. So we had a streamline of events that we were going to go out and have booths at, recruit, provide education, provide awareness, et cetera, so we can motivate people to fill out the census. And the next slide just shows briefly a picture of our grand opening and some of the members that attended on that day of our area census office, again, located in Tyler here. It's office number 3193. So how can people respond? This is very important. We want people to know that there are 4 ways to respond. There's the internet, there's the phone. They can also respond on a paper and mail the form back. They can also be able to fill out their information and respond through in person. That means that if you do not respond in the first 3 ways, a census taker will will come to your home, and they'll be able to record your information then. And one of the things that I also wanted to note on here, when they call over the phone, there are 12 different languages that the census has set up. And it's not just one number where they can call. There's 12 different numbers that are available. So for example, if I wanted to call in Spanish, there is a number designated for Spanish language. So when I call that number, there will be a Spanish person that will answer the phone. So there are 12 different languages this year that they're doing that. So the response rates on the next slide shows, and I'm going to show you the national, the state, Smith County, and the city of Tyler. And so they provide this information every 2 weeks. And so here's the updated information as of July the 14th of 2020. The national rate was 62.1, and on the bottom I'm showing how many of that 62.1 did it online through the internet. The state of Texas is at 57, online is 46.5, the Smith County of 58.2, online was 44.3, and the city of Tyler was at 57.1, online at 44.9. And I also want to note that the city of Tyler and the state of Texas were right on par with the state of Texas. I wanted to point that out. In the next slide. This map here shows you the different zip codes. So what this map shows you is the self-response rates. If you see the very top north area, the one that's more of yellowish, some said orange yesterday. I don't see orange, but I see yellow. But you do? Okay. Well, there you go. So there's all kinds. So if you see the yellow and the orange coloring up there, and if you want to go ahead and click, you can see the zip codes that are the areas that have the least response rates as of now. So we've got 75702, 75706, 75707, and 75708. And those are the 4 areas that have the least response rates. The ones that are below, that you see more of a blue or aqua colors, those areas have a little bit higher response rates versus the ones that are in yellow. The next map, please. This next map shows you, I went ahead and actually showed you inside the loop so that you can get a clearer picture of inside the loop, because what the census does is it goes based off of tracts.
Can we mute them?
That's somebody trying to suggest that we do better in counting inside the loop.
I completely agree with them then. Okay, so our census tracts, what they do is they go based off of tracts. And so what I'm showing you here is tracts 1 through 12 that fall inside of our loop 323. And again, this is just a narrowed, zoomed in focus of that map that I showed you just right before. And you can see here again, those areas that are in more of the orange and yellowish color versus the blue and aqua. And you can see the difference there. The next slide, thank you. Now, what I'll do in the next slide is show you according to your council districts so that you can see where those tracts fall in your districts. And then I'll go into showing you all of your districts and where you are on your response rates for each one. So here is again tracts 1 through 12, and it shows the district map. So you see where the tracts that I showed you prior to in the prior slide fall under your district. Next slide, please. So I threw in some Spanish here for y'all. Distrito número 1, distrito número 2, y número 3. So here in your districts, you can see your tracts. And what I've done here, it shows, for example, let's go with the first one. District 1 shows your tract 10. And your response rate as of, again, July last week was 67.6. Out of that 67.6, 58.1 responded online or through the internet. Now, I also on the third row included what your total response was as of the 2010 census information. So it was at 75.8. If you look in District 2, your tracts are 4, 5, and 7, and you can see here where you were at 43% as of last week, and out of that, 18.3 did it online. And your total for 2010 was at 62.4. So you can see how we still have room for growth to at least attain what we were able to do in 2010. But it's also very interesting. I want to note in District 2, they had the lowest response rate online and on the internet. And I'll show you another district that actually had the highest response of the internet. So that way, as City Council, you can also know that when you are reaching out to your constituents, you know that what's probably a better way to reach out, either through paper, mail format, traditional methods, or maybe the online as to be able to disseminate your information. The next slide. The next slide will show you districts 4, 5, and 6. And here it'll show you, let's go to District 6. This district has tracts 11.01 and 11.02. And you can see here that right now they're sitting at 66.6 and 72.5. So they have the highest percentage of response rate as of right now. Online also, they have the highest response rate of doing it over the internet as well. And they have pretty high response rates from 2010 also, but it's comparable to some of the other districts. But you can still see that even though they're at 66.6 right now, their response rate in 2010 was 71. So there's still room for growth even at this district as well. Okay. So our Complete Count Committee, we were tasked with providing education, awareness, and call to action. And so this is some of the things that we were able to do in the short time. We were able to create public service announcements, printed materials. We focused a lot on translation of materials as well to ensure that we targeted our Spanish-speaking community here in the East Texas region. We had lists of events that we were going to participate, but we really hit hard on communication partners, social media, those two that we were able to do right away. Television and radio, we still have planned to do those as well. And we do have a census call to action event that we are going to put on within the next month or so. But I did want to mention on the next slide, community partners is so vital and so important to this entire process. We cannot do it without not only our Complete Count committees that's comprised of elected officials, members of our colleges, universities, school districts, libraries, community organizations, the media, and local business and business community. We were able to establish nearly 230 community partners within the city of Tyler, ARP, Bullard, Chandler, Flint, White House, and Winona in that time frame that we were able to meet. Within that time frame also, 200 of those fall within the city of Tyler. So we have a pretty good amount of community partners here, which are going to be vital for us moving forward as we start disseminating more information, creating the new campaign that we're going to release out within the next month or so, and also this new call to action event that we want to take place. Next slide. So this call to action, again, remember that our deadline now has been moved to October 31st. And because of, since we were unable to host any community-wide events due to COVID safety concerns, the committee has decided to host a community-wide call to action type of event where the community is going to visit one of our community partner locations to complete the census, and we're going to really encourage more of a drive-through participation so that with our community partners versus meeting in one central location. We don't want to really encourage community gathering. We want to be able to have, let's say, for example, 50 or 100 community partners and say this whole week you can go visit one of these community partners, and they're going to be able to have volunteers there that you can drive and pull up to and be able to provide your census information. Now, we know that not everyone's going to come out and come through the drive-through, and that's fine, but our purpose also is also to encourage people and motivate individuals to remember, again, you haven't filled out the census, do it now. And we're asking everyone to also participate in this. I myself called a couple of friends of mine last week and I said, have you filled out the census? And some said yes, some said no, and I said, okay, I'm sending you the link right now. And I texted them the link, and it was very easy. You can do it very quickly. Some individuals have also asked, well, Nancy, I received in the mail, which should have been sent in March, but I can't find that form, or if not, I have the form, but I don't remember where I placed it. Well, that's okay. You can still fill out the census without that form. If you do still have that form, you can still go online and fill it out, the census, using that code that is given to you. In that mail, that form that you receive, it comes with a code. That code is specifically linked to your home address. So when you fill out the census and you utilize that code, it's easier for the census to tie you with that home address as far as their database system. But if you don't have the code, that's absolutely fine. You can still fill out the census, and you have until October 31st. And the last slide. Okay, so that is all. That is my information and my update. Again, thank you for appointing me to serve as your chair. Muchas gracias. I appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, I'll let Michael answer them.
I will tell you that I filled it out online, and it took me like 3 minutes. It was very simple this year. So I would encourage whatever help that you need from us.
Thank you.
Nancy and Michael, y'all let us know, because we've obviously been all focused on several other items that we've had to deal with in the community, but this is long-term, just highway funds that come to our community. This is a huge item, so for the community as a whole, it's a very big deal.
Yes, yes, sir. Great work.
Thank you, Nancy.
Great,
Thank
awesome.
you, Nancy.
Just very briefly, I just wanted to follow up on, just to try to give a little bit of history and context to a lot of the information that Nancy just provided. The city of Tyler hired a firm to do an in-depth population estimate in 2005 that the city of Tyler found that it was determined it was over 100,000. Right. At the 2010 census, the findings was that it was actually below, was 96,900. And so the biggest feeling from the community was that we felt that we were undercounted at that time. So as far as context goes, one of the takeaways is that we're still showing that we haven't actually even received the response rate in any of the council districts and any of the tracts that we'd had in 2010. So it really is important that we try to do as much as we can to have that outreach and get that response.
And I agree with you, because I think we came back and did some more research after the 2010. And I think we found that they missed 15 to 20,000 housing units. And the housing units were not vacant at the time. So they definitely missed the target. So it's really important for us to push really hard.
And one of the other things that I wanted to also, that I was made aware of yesterday, is that Our group quarters is what they call for like our universities or colleges, those students that live on campus in their homes or in their housing. Also, senior centers, those are considered group quarters for the census. They are still going to count. So as far as like, if a student would have been living on campus in the city of Tyler at one of our universities or colleges as of April the 1st, wherever they were going to be living at that time, that is where they will be counted. So that's a big plus for us, being that we have a lot of students here within our city of Tyler.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
Plus, we need that new congressional seat, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great.
No,
Thank you all very
great.
much.
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have, is Linda on the phone by chance? I heard yes. So,
Say they have sound now on Teams.
okay, then let's,
You can hear.
Kyle, what we'll do is come on and do your presentation for Z5, and then we'll make sure that the city attorney, since she's able to hear us, we can hear her faintly, that you can discuss with her if she has any issues. So who's that talking? Okay. Oh, there you are. I didn't see you come up. I heard voices. Yes, and make sure that if Mr. Roosh would like to say a word, that he's available on the phone at this time too.
So does here needs to be done for the change of the presentation?
It's up, yeah, it's up over here.
This is Z5, because that is Niblick.
Okay.
It's Niblick and Sharpwood. I know exactly where that is, so let's get after it.
This is a zone change request from R2 two-family to R1B single-family residential. This is in Council District Number 4. The applicant's requesting the zone change to allow for the development of a detached single-family home. The properties to the west, north, and south are developed with single-family homes. Actually, to the east, to the north is developed with a duplex. This request is consistent with the future land use guide, which identifies the property as single-family, medium, low density. Of the 18 notices sent, 0 were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a 7-0 vote, recommends approval of the zone change from R2 to R1B.
Are there any questions for Kyle?
No, move to approve Z5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion from Westbrook, a second from McGee. Do we, does Mr. Roosh actually want to say something, or do you want us?
But he hung up,
He hung up?
yes.
Well, we
He's
have,
calling back, he's calling back. This is Cassandra.
and since he's the applicant, since we have a motion and a second, can I go ahead and call the question, or do you want me to wait?
Mr. Bruce, if you'll state your name and address for the record. Hello? Go ahead,
Okay.
Mr. Ruth, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
It's not working.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Bruce, can you hear me now?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you.
Are there any opposed votes?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And would you like to ask Linda if she,
Is she on the line? Is Councilman Sellers on the line? Councilman Sellers, can you hear us?
okay, then we have a quorum, and we have 100% of the quorum voting in favor, so let's move forward. So let's go on to P2. Is that you, Lisa?
morning.
While we're waiting to get there, I'll
Yes.
say that P2 is a request to get an update on the half-cent sales tax program. We'll review what we've been doing this fiscal year and then go over our work plan that's proposed for next fiscal year.
Okay, super.
So this fiscal year, we have actually 35 projects that are scheduled for funding in this current fiscal year, which totals $19.6 million. Now again, that's not really the total amount that any of these projects actually will end up costing. It's just the amount that we have scheduled for these projects in this fiscal year. And that includes, for example, the two fire stations, number 1 and number 4, which have been completed.
Correct.
Of course, those two projects did not cost $2.9 million, but that is what we spent this year. We have several parks projects, several airport projects, and we have 10 projects dealing with streets and traffic in this current fiscal year that total $7.6 million. And then we have 15 projects this fiscal year for $5.7 million. So that's just a snapshot of what we have been doing this current fiscal year.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of
It's been
work.
a very busy year.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And then as we do every single year, we collect all of the projects that are recommended to us through various sources throughout the year. And then we have a meeting that generally consists of the managing directors here with the City of Tyler, where we go through a process where we review all of those proposed projects, and each of those city staff members then scores the projects based on these 9 separate criteria having to do with transportation, public safety, the impact on the budget, etc. Then those scores are averaged, and that's what ends up being the final ranking score for each of those proposed projects. And very quickly, we'll just go through. We only had about 6 projects that were proposed for these future funding sources. For example, the first project is a sidewalk replacement on Bodart between Queen and Harmony. This was one that was recommended to us by the citizens in this stretch of the city. Just a request to replace the sidewalk on both sides, because as you can see, the sidewalk tends to be pretty badly broken and in some cases completely missing. The next project is the installation of traffic barriers on West Grande Boulevard between Shady Oaks and North Star Boulevard. This is the S-curve there on West Grande, which has been the scene of several vehicular accidents over the last several years, which unfortunately a few did involve some fatalities.
Yes, ma'am.
So the city has previously indicated that we would be putting some barriers up. We need to go ahead and get that into the program so that we can fund that. In the meantime, I have actually discussed this project with some of our engineering consultants, and they suggested that the problem is actually that the roadway is not designed correctly, that the road is banked incorrectly, which makes it very slippery. So this project may actually end up involving reconstructing that section of West Grande. But we'll look at that when we get an engineering design done. I do not know what that picture is. It should not be there. I think that's, Oh, yeah, these are the just close-ups of those pictures.
Yes, ma'am.
If we could go to the next slide. The next project that was proposed is some storm drain improvements on Lexington and Westminster Drive. This again was recommended to us by the property owners in this neighborhood, which is in the UT Tyler area. This is a low spot in this neighborhood, and there is no existing underground storm drain system, so these handful of houses bear the brunt of the above ground drainage stormwater runoff from 3 directions. They get it from the north, the south, and the west. So they do get a lot of water, and these homeowners have said that they do get their homes flooded during particularly heavy rainstorms. The next project is channel improvements in Briarwood Estates, which we actually have already started moving forward with, but again, I did need to just formally go through the process to get it into the program. But that project, as we've discussed, is improving the existing natural drainage channel that runs through the Briarwood Estates subdivision. Next project is the reconstruction of Mirabeau Drive. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Mirabeau Drive from Canal Street to the dead end, that cul-de-sac. This area is off of Old Jacksonville Highway, and there is an awful lot of groundwater in this area, which is causing pavement failures, repeated pavement failures, which our staff has been unable to fully address. So we think we're just going to have to go in and put in an underground groundwater collection system. We're planning on change ordering this little reconstruction into a project that we already currently have ongoing, which is a similar type groundwater collection system project. And then the final project that's proposed are the traffic system improvements, which have been recommended by our citywide traffic study. And if I could, I would like to have Cameron Williams, the traffic engineer, come up and give you a little more in-depth information about these proposed projects.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you, Lisa.
Because I'd like to do them tomorrow, but I understand.
Mayor and council, thank you all for this opportunity. I'm going to give you a very short snapshot. I think I am scheduled next month to come back and give you more in depth of the entire study.
Yes.
Yes. But this implementation plan covers 10 years and includes 12 different projects. And I've grouped those for the summary piece into kind of 3 different time spans of similar projects as they get rolled out. So years 1 and 2 include upgrading the school zone flasher system, upgrading the signal communication system, upgrading the central traffic management system software that we use, and then start upgrading equipment at key intersections on priority corridors. And that would include cabinets, controllers, battery backup units, vehicle detection systems, and emergency vehicle preemption.
Do you think we'll be able to stop going to eBay to buy parts for a few of the traffic signals?
Yes, sir. That is the goal.
Sorry.
And we also look at signal timing on 15 intersections per year to do. As you move into years 3 through 6, we'll continue that process of upgrading signal equipment, all those different pieces I mentioned. Implementing signal performance measures, which will help us be able to better monitor and see the results of the timing, more proactive, and measure those things. Installing CCTVs at critical intersections, like around the loop at our major intersections, to give us more eyes that we can look at things. The communication system that we're looking at doing is going cellular modems, which is a lower upfront cost, but we do have reoccurring cost as you go every year because of cell phone plans and different things like that. Right. Remodeling our traffic management center, and then also, again, retiming 15 intersections per year as you go through that process. And then as we get into years 7 through 10, we will finish up upgrading all of the different equipment at Signals, have a couple of dynamic message signs, message boards out there at critical locations, and then those reoccurring cellular modem costs, and then we can increase to doing 30 intersections per year from a retiming standpoint at that point. So that's a very quick snapshot.
And I look forward to your presentation next month, but yeah, one of my questions would probably be how fast can we do it a little bit faster in 10 years? Is there any items that we could speed up? Will be my request.
Sure.
So, but this is something that we, you know, this has been the #1 issue in the community for a long time. So I want to applaud the staff for jumping in there. And I know we commissioned a study about a year ago, but if we can't, understanding we can't do everything the first day. It's just like the water and sewer systems that we've worked on for years and will have years and years to work on. But the main thing is that we're getting started and we're methodically going through the process to get these things addressed.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm proud of. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see your full report next month.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Lisa, I don't know if that's the completion of what the project is going to be for the half-cent sales tax, if there's more coming. I didn't see anything north, and in particular, I'm interested in sidewalks around, in and around Griffin Elementary School, North Broadway. So I don't know if there's more that's going to come later.
Some of the Griffin can also be looked at through the on the community block grant development funds. That is a traditional source for that, so that can be done.
Okay.
And I would just add that I'm so proud for the work that's being done on Martin Luther King, the work that we're doing at Glass, the work we're doing at Wildred Park, and the extreme amount of work that we've done at Fun Forest. I'm very proud of those projects.
Yes.
So while there might not be a big list this year, the last year and the year before have been great years for your district, and I'm so proud of that.
I'm proud too. Is there going to be more?
There is.
Okay.
There's always more.
There's always more.
Okay, so that was the overview of the projects that were recommended to us this year to work into our program.
Those were new.
And correct, those are the new projects that were added.
Correct.
So they were ranked, not all of the projects were actually ranked high enough to be funded within the next 10 years, but they are still part of our program and will be funded at some point in the future. But once we got those projects worked in, you can see now that our half-cent 10-year CIP forecast starting next fiscal year and going out through the next 10 years after that equals 56 projects totaling over $154 million worth of work. And again, that includes public safety, parks, streets, traffic, drainage, and airport improvements. And then just to wrap up on the CIP part of it, just a quick overview of what we're actually going to be working on once next fiscal year starts. We have 31 projects totaling $27.6 million. That includes 13 projects. Most of those projects are projects that are currently underway, so we're just scheduled to continue working on those projects, whether they're in the design or construction phase. But the projects on the right-hand side of that list that are slightly bolder are projects that we will be starting as new projects once October 1 starts. Next slide. This also includes 14 drainage projects. Again, many of those projects are ones that are currently underway, so we'll just be finishing those out next fiscal year. But we do have a handful of drainage improvement projects that we will be starting. The Holly Park and Stagecoach drainage projects are some of the areas that we've done drainage studies as part of that CIP drainage strategy thing the engineering department has been doing. So we've completed the studies, and then now we'll just be moving into the actual engineering and design part to make those improvements. And then we'll have a wall reconstruction at 400 West Grande, which is that big channel that's right there at Grande and Broadway. Then we also have a couple of parks projects we'll be starting. So that's what we'll be doing next fiscal year. Our budget, proposed budget for fiscal year 2021 will be beginning the year with a cash balance of just over $16 million. We're forecasting revenues of right around $15 million, which gives us quite a bit of money to work with, because we expect to expend right around $28 million, leaving us a balance of $3 million at the end of next fiscal year.
Yeah, good. Right.
That's it for my
Good report.
presentation.
Thank you. There's no action on the part of council.
There is none.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Oh, I do just want to point out, we were not able to have the half-cent meeting this month due to technical difficulties.
Right.
So the half-cent board has not looked at this presentation or the budget, but assuming we're able to have the meeting in August, once
They'll
they
look
look
at
at it, that will open up a 60-day comment period for the public.
Yes,
So the
ma'am.
public would be able to contact me at any time, phone, email, whatever, and make their comments regarding this plan and this budget.
Perfect.
Okay,
And your
great.
direct number, Ms. Lisa, your phone number, your direct number?
Certainly. I can be contacted directly at 903-531-1239.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. P3?
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm here before you to present information technology 4-point initiative plan that we call a 2020 vision. And the initiative were actually designed to better position the city directly to serve its citizens through technology, and the aim to enhance collaboration, productivity, security, and community outreach. And the first of these point introduces collaboration inside of the city and also outside. We selected Microsoft Teams as a collaboration and communication tool that we're currently using at the city for all of our communication. That gave us the collaboration platform that not we internally that we could use it, we also, if partner that we're working outside with any project that we could communicate with them with their video or chat or information. And that gives us the ability to have all of our information in one location. In the old ways, we used to use email by sending things back and forth for communicating, and then we had to go back to our sent item, find out what did I send, who did I send it to, and come back and attaching all that email. It was kind of a difficult way. Email still has its place, but we are using Teams as a collaborating tool because now we can have a central repository for all of our communication in one location that we can go back. And recently we used it for all of our think tank throughout the cities about some ideas and information we're using that. And the next things that we introduced was the city's Microsoft Planner, which gives us ability to keep track of all of our tasks and project management in the cities. To have the dashboard that you could see if your project is on track or if it's not on track. And that gives you the good, again, and other tools for collaboration. And through all of these things, through our early adoptions of Microsoft Think, I want to thank all of my colleagues in the city to adopting the new technology, and it helped us to be ahead of and minimize the impact that we actually, for disruption before the COVID-19 hit. We were pretty well ready to use the technology that we already had and familiar to use it throughout the home. And the next initiative that I would like to talk to you about was we introduced also the ability to work from anywhere. We thought about office is becoming meaningless anymore. You know, people should be able to work from anywhere, have access to all the tools that they need, whether in the office, whether at home, and gave that capability. And we selected a company called Citrix that gives us the ability to improve productivity, that you could be the same user experience, whatever you have in your desktop, you don't have to VPN back in to get the information. You get the same experience with two-factor authentication and securely. The next point that I want to talk about would be the initiative that would enhances the defense and protecting itself and the citizen through hardware, software, and user training. And as we know, there are many adversaries throughout. And you guys hear there are many attacks that's coming in from various countries, from various medias, whether it's ransomware, hacking, malware, phishing, and we're all familiar with that. And these attacks can result in financial losses, data theft, or service interruption, which we know that throughout the cities, many cities like us, especially Metroplex, that they got hacked and disrupted many of their business, and some of them had to pay hefty ransom in order to do so. Even after they paying the ransom, there still was work needed to be done that they had to pay consultants to come in and to do cleanup. So before the state of Texas introduced House Bill 3834 that mandated for all of the state and local government to be trained, and I'm sure you guys have gone through some of those training, to get educated, the city of Tyler was well underway with its own security and training awareness, so we were prepared when the state mandated that for us to implement. And the fourth and the final initiative that I want to talk about would be the multi-department collaboration effort to enhance the city's community outreach through technology. Several employees were selected as a project management for their prospective initiative. Through a 12 months period, we selected, the project was focused on capturing ADA, captioning for ADA compliance, automated board and agenda management, and a new improved city website. To do all of these things, we had to select a company that has all of the products together, and the company was Granicus that gave us the holistic approach to community engagement. In the past, we were sending Word document, typing Word document and sending in for all of our agenda management, and we could not keep track of all of the agenda. But through this software for agenda management, it gives us the ability to keep track of all of the changes. And these products automate the process. And doing so, this was a tedious, again, 12 months task. I would like to thank Jennifer Pittman. She took the bull with horn and basically helping and making sure the selection and implementation and the user training went very smoothly throughout all the department. And the next one was keeping track of board and commissions, which is currently, again, is a manual process and is not an efficient process. This product simplifies board member selection, promotes vacancies with online application submission, which we currently, right now, we're using it again through Word document or Excel manual. And again, Cassandra is instrumental with that and working to bring that product to its fruition as well. And like the next slide, I would say the City of Tyler has been through 4 website iterations for the last 20 years, I would say. And the last one happens 10 years ago. As we transition forward, we were looking for a vendor that was imperative that we had the product that could meet both our employees' needs and the customers' needs for the citizens, that they can bring all of these tied together. Again, the Granicus was the portion that allowed us to do so. And Julie Goodgame, with the City Communication Director, was very instrumental helping putting all the content together for the website and stuff. So at this point, I'm going to ask Julie to come in and tell you guys the detail of what each portion does for all of us. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
City Communications team worked with Granicus to develop the city's new website and companion subsites. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the decisions that were made during product design and the plan for the future. Our website is inarguably our #1 marketing tool. It's the first place our residents go to seek assistance and to learn about the city. Our residents' overall perception of the city and leadership's effectiveness as public servants is heavily influenced by their journey on our website, and I think that's important to keep in mind. So because of this fact, user experience became the driving force of our new development. Different than the iterations of the past, our current design is based on end-user research. We surveyed our site users for their priorities and preferences, used heat mapping to determine most common user pathways on the site, and feedback from end-user testing to inform our design decisions. In short, all decisions were data-driven. Basing our design on science rather than emotion helped to keep everyone on the same page as we work through the process of transforming our web presence from a website to a true customer service portal. And so I'll talk to you about the front end of the site and our user-centered design. The result of putting the user's journey first was that we developed a fully custom homepage wireframe, so that's like a blueprint, and navigation with a fully responsive design. We also included several customer experience features, GeoFinder, data visualization banners, new displays with blog fields, new video display, and we also developed 3 alternate home pages that we can use during key times of the year. So we'll do a homepage takeover for budget. It'll help the budget process be simpler for people to follow. We also, as part of this project, developed 6 sub-sites for 6 different city departments, which follows the same wireframing and planning process. And when I talk about responsive design, what I mean is, if we can go to the next slide, it's that the site will conform to the ratios of any screen that it's presented on, whether it's a computer, monitor, tablet, or cell phone. That eliminates the need for separate mobile site and separate design elements. The thing that we were really excited about also was the content management system.
Is Matt going to break out in his dance?
Hmm?
You don't have that on the...
Oh, no. No. So flexible content management. One way that Tyler is unique, we do not have an in-house web administrator. Instead, these responsibilities are shared between IT, communications, and the departments themselves. Each department designates their own web editors to maintain their pages. So during the development process, we solicited feedback from our web editors on their content management experience. And what we found was that many were reporting struggling with our existing content management system. So we put together a wish list of needs and wants, and we're really looking for a vendor that could supply that system to make it easier for anyone across the city, no matter their proficiency with website design. And what we got was a flexible CMS that allows for user management and workflow and approval cycles. This makes it much easier for us to troubleshoot content before it's posted on the site. We have personalized dashboards so that anyone using the site can drag and drop elements that they use most frequently, so it's very quick pathways and shortcuts to work on the site itself. And this is important because if something's difficult to work on, we know that people aren't going to do it, and that helps us all keep our content up to date when people like using this product. We have quarterly ongoing software updates, over 100 apps and widgets that we can plug in to help us manage content on the site, so it makes it just a nicer, cleaner, more interactive display. We have forms and survey builders with ready-to-use templates. They use conditional logic, payment processing, and legally binding digital signatures. All that means is we can automate workflows. Things get done really quickly now, and that's good. And then the other piece that we were really looking for is ongoing maintenance and support. Again, because our responsibilities are distributed, you have so many people logging on and updating the site, they needed robust system support so they could get their jobs done. Right now we have technical support Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. by phone, email, and live chat, 24/7 emergency support, on-demand training videos, and we have an annual site audit with our provider where they give us recommendations on everything from accessibility to readability, organization, and mobility. All that means is the website is not done. We're going to be continuing to work on it. Development will be an ongoing process, and that's how it should be. We should never think of ourselves as finished with this. And just a couple of things that'll be upcoming over the year. We did build these beautiful new websites, and transferred the content over. I liken that to building a beautiful new house and moving in your old furniture. So we still have a lot of work to do with our content to make sure our content is updated, workflows are running smoothly, and I want to thank the librarian Aaliyah Wheeler for all her help on that. Also, IT is going to be looking at plugging in an app that it's like a bot, a customer service bot, to help quickly funnel service requests through the site so that people get resolutions. So I know that they're going to be looking at that this year. So those are just some things to be on the lookout for. Any questions on the new websites?
No, very good. Security is a question for Benny, I guess. Thank you, Julie. Any questions of Julie?
No, thank you, Julie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Julie.
So security?
Yeah, how's that going?
It's pretty good. We have partnered with several vendors internally. Now we have secured all the desktops, right, and we have secured what we call it north, south, east, west. So we're making sure that the communication that needs to communicate flow freely without any damages. Again, the hackers are getting smarter, and we are hands-on. You know, most of us come here on the weekend, make sure we upgrade things and for the users. It is a battle that we continue going through. I think some of my colleagues have been sending email. Now voice hacking is going on, and as you all know, some of our neighbors have been getting hacked. It's a daily routine, but we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have available to keep the kind of adversaries out of the systems.
Okay.
So, all right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Wow.
You bet.
Thank you, Benny.
So that concludes the presentations today, right? So now we're going on to 01. Is Mrs. Sellers still listening, or?
Yeah, she was muted, but she could hear.
Okay, good.
She's been muted because of the feedback.
Okay, great. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Mr. Adams.
Mayor, Council, we have item 01 before you. This, we conducted a sale on yesterday of approximately over $5 million worth of bonds. And this is a refunding of some bonds that we had, and the project was initially for our Lake Palestine treatment plant. And so we had a call date come up, and we're able to refund these. And Stephen is here today. He's going to go over the sale and how our bids come in. I'm very excited. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him give you the good news. But it's really great news. And after he concludes his presentation, I just recommend that you all approve the ordinance that is before you. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Kedrick. If you could go to the first page, please. As Kedrick said, we took bids yesterday, and we received an interest rate of 0.61. That was
That's
half of what we showed. We showed a 1.21 when we were here.
Amazing.
Now, interest rates have been coming down with all the federal stimulus.
Yes.
That's one of the factors. The other factor is highly rated bonds or stocks. Anybody with a good balance sheet, that's where investors are putting their money right now because there's so much uncertainty. So I want to talk a little bit about your AA plus rating. Before we had our rating call, Standard & Poor's sent out a statement that all sectors are viewed as negative back in March.
Right.
So going into any rating right now, you're starting out, you know you're not going to get an upgrade. You could possibly get a downgrade. So we hit the rating agencies with not only this refunding, but, oh, by the way, we've got potentially $200 million in debt coming up for the wastewater system.
Right.
We went through a lot of pro formas. We went through a lot of questions about, is the council really going to raise rates to keep their coverage? And we assured them that that was the case. The coverage looks good because you implemented that charge to pay for the wastewater bonds that will be sold hopefully to the Water Development Board. And by the way,
thank you for saying that.
yes, based on the last presentation, at every rating meeting, we have to have the IT department come in and explain how their data is not going to get ransomware, because that has been going on in many political subdivisions around the nation, and the rating
It's
agencies.
amazing, isn't it?
The rate, I mean, big ones. You know, you've probably read about some of them. And so we went through a discussion like we had here so that they feel comfortable that, see, Tyler's not going to be the next one. They're reading about in the newspaper that you've got to pay some Bitcoin company a lot of money to get all your data back. So all those factors came in, and they affirmed the AA plus rating, and it's that rating that the investors saw that led to this 0.61, along with the stimulus and everything else. So the present value savings is $756,000. So of the debt we refunded, we basically took 13% of it and erased it, of the bonds we refunded. The final maturity is going to be 2028, and if you approve this today, we'll close the transaction on August 19th after we get Attorney General's approval. Page 2. You got a lot of bids, 9. I was counting up. This came in from 7 different cities around the country. Fidelity, the winning bidder, everybody knows Fidelity. They're based in Boston, and you know their customers are widely individuals that buy these bonds through their website.
Right.
And so we're proud to see that. A pretty tight range in bids, but a lot of bids that shows a lot of demand for your bonds. We did this on an online bidding system that Kedrick and Jim were able to watch as well. And so that went really well. Page 3, as you recall, we decided to take our savings up front so that we can attribute a lot of this cash to your capital projects that you have. We not only wiped out all the interest payment in the 2021, we were able to take some more savings in 2022. So the bulk of that $760,000 in cash, you'll be able to spend in the next couple of years on capital projects.
Great.
So that's, 700.
For the water and the sewer system.
For the water and sewer system,
Using
yes.
the general obligation bonds.
That's correct. And so it's all paid for by water and utility revenues.
Yes,
and so the benefits will inure to that system and help pay for a lot of the capital costs that are going on for your water and sewer system. Would like to note that we're refunding $5,450,000 in bonds, and the principal amount that we're selling is less than that, $5,055,000. You ask, well, how can that happen? If you go to page 4, I will partially explain that. The coupon rates that the winning bidder wanted are obviously higher than 0.61. They do this for 2 reasons. One, they want some tax-exempt cash flow. And number 2, this protects them from the value of the bond going down if interest rates go up. So in their mind, they think interest rates are going up, whoever won this bid, Fidelity. So in order to get coupons higher than the interest rate that you're paying, if you go to page 5, they paid us an extra $509,000 in cash. So we just said, if we're getting that premium, we'll lower, we don't need to sell that many bonds. We don't need that much money. And that's pretty common in the market right now. All the bonds are selling this way. So we get a premium. We have transfers because we have to make monthly payments on each of the bonds. So we had made some. We put that in as well. And that's our total source of funds. And that pays all the costs of issuance, refunds the outstanding debt, and all the savings include all those costs. So there's not, here's the savings, but we got to pay something. It's here's the savings.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I've got just a curious question about Texas Water Development Board. I mean, that's an incredibly competitive rate.
Correct.
What are they at right now?
We just closed a 20-year bond with a 0% rate.
Yeah, good.
Because of the subsidy.
Yeah, right.
Now 20 years would be higher than 0.61 in the
Correct.
market. It'd probably be maybe 1.5. Right. They've got about a 1.5% subsidy, so their bonds are going at 0% right now, or very close to it if you go 30 years, and that was a few days ago, and rates are still coming down.
Right, right. Oh, I've noticed. It's fascinating. So, well, that's very good. I didn't know that was the number. So that's a number that as we move forward on the consent decree and the work that we must do on the wastewater system, that's zero rate sounds like pretty good.
That will apply to that charge we were talking about. In other words, there would be no interest, and you lock in a multi-year commitment at the board.
Right. That would be a very nice number for the city of Tyler, water and sewer department at this time.
Yes, sir.
But 0.61 is nothing to...
very low, yeah, for the
something.
unsubsidized rate based on your
That is
credit
something.
alone. Yeah, it was lower than I expected, and I knew it'd be,
Yeah,
we had some cushion built in, but we didn't have this much.
I had no idea it'd be that low. Okay.
Next page, please. Just a little more detailed calendar that we're closing on August the 19th. And assuming you do this, and then the next page, page 7, as Kedrick mentioned, we do recommend that you award the $5,055,000 water and sewer revenue refunding bonds, new series 2020 to Fidelity Capital Markets.
Great. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Westbrook, a second by McGee. It was a tie, so I just did something So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I vote yes.
Thank you. We heard you loud and clear, Linda. Thank you very much. So we're all in favor of it. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you. Appreciate the business.
O2.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And by the way, I will say, Steve, thank you very much for your years of service. This might be the actual last time that I'm the mayor when we transact business, but you've done an excellent job for the city of Tyler, and we appreciate your work. Yes.
Thank you.
As you all know, due to the aging infrastructure of the Fun Forest Pool, we had no choice but to close it last year. We are excited to announce that earlier this month, the renovations were completed with a new pool that includes a beach entry, 2 slides, as well as a new splash pad and several fun water features.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
There's some new pictures in this slide. It looks really great. While the Fun Forest entrance fees will remain the same as we have in the past, we do request that the City Council consider adopting an ordinance amending City Code Chapter 8 by adopting new rental fees for the Fun Forest pool facilities. We conducted surveys with several other Texas cities to gain an understanding of what would be a fair and comparable rates for rental. Some of these cities included League City, College Station, Denton, Louisville, Victoria, Longview, and Temple. Other factors were taken into consideration as well, such as the cost of staffing, the demand for rentals, as well as the fees that we charge in other parks within the city of Tyler. The parks reviewed and unanimously voted to accept and recommend the new rental rates for Fun Forest Pool on May 26, 2020. The new code would read as outlined in the attached ordinance. Some obsolete rental wording is being removed, and a rental fee table has been added just to provide better clarification and information on the fees for renting of the picnic tables, pavilion, splash pad, or the pool. It is recommended that the City Council adopt an ordinance amending City Code Chapter 8 to set new rental fees for the Fun Forest pool facility.
Questions for Leanne?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by McKellar. Do I have a second? McGee? Oh,
I will second.
Did you say?
But I will second.
Okay, well, a second by McKellar. Are there any other questions of Leanne or comments? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, I vote yes.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Now we're on to H1. And I believe the city attorney has corrected me over the years. I always went into a public hearing with the gavel and nod. And she let me do that for about 6 years, and now she's told me I never needed to do that. So I won't do that today. Is that all right? Okay. No, I thought I was supposed to do that. So go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This is a request that the City Council conduct a public hearing for citizen input for the 2020-2024 CDBG and Home Consolidated Plan and the 2020-2021 Annual Action Plan, and consider approving the plan for submission to HUD. As the Council is aware, each year the City of Tyler receives federal money from HUD in the form of the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Grants. As part of the regulations, we're required to do a 5-year consolidated plan every 5 years. And this plan basically takes the city through an analysis of its needs to help identify what needs there are and to then set specific goals over the next 5 years. Based on the consolidated plan, there were 4 priority needs, is what the regulations call them. It's non-housing community development, and that's things like infrastructure, parks, that sort of thing. Providing decent, affordable housing, reducing substandard structures, and addressing homelessness. Every dollar of CDBG and home that is used must meet at least one of those 4 needs. Also, as part of the requirements, the City of Tyler is required to host several public hearings. For this consolidated plan and annual action plan, we've held public hearings on April 30th, June 10th, June 26th, and June 29th. Further, we've also had a 30-day comment period that ended yesterday. We have not received any public comments, and so we're trying to do everything we can to get citizen involvement. Up on the screen now, there are, I believe it's 8 or 9 programs that we're planning to run this next year to address those needs. And if we can go to the next slide. This is just a chart showing the amount allocated to each one. Under administration, that's just to administer the programs. That is capped at 20% of the CDBG funds and 10% of the home funds. We're planning to have a substandard structures program to go out, look at substandard structures, enforce the codes on those, possibly demolish and possibly rehabilitate those codes or those structures. The critical home repair program, it is a program, it's currently in effect right now. It's being run through Habitat for Humanity, and they go out, they find low to moderate income citizens who need their homes repaired. And they take care of most everything for us, and we just oversee it. There's going to be a first-time home buyers program where we provide down payment and closing cost assistance to low to moderate income households looking to purchase their first home. We're also planning to run a targeted home rehabilitation program, and the number on that one, I missed a 0. It should be 120,000, not 12,000, and I apologize for that. But what we're planning to do with that particular program is focus on the area surrounding the new Hidden Palace development to help kind of focus on rehabilitating that area. We're setting aside some funds for public facilities and a very small amount for public services. We're also planning to use home funds to help facilitate new construction of affordable homes. And then also one of the requirements for home is it's a Community Housing Development Organization Reserve, or a CHODO, and that's that very last line there. And that's 15% of the grant amount. We have to set it aside for a CHODO to help facilitate new housing as well. And a CHODO is a specialized nonprofit that meets certain requirements. Those are the programs in a nutshell. Again, this is a request that the City Council conduct a final public hearing and for the 2024 and 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan and the 2020 to 2021 annual action plan, and consider approving the plan for submission to HUD.
Is there anyone in City Hall that is here to speak about this issue in the other room or here? Seeing no one here, is there anyone on the telephone that has called in specifically for H1? No, sir. Okay, hearing none and having no one rushing to the microphone, I will close this public hearing, and then we will have a vote on this when?
We can take a vote on it right now.
Oh,
if you would
today?
like.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so the public hearing is closed. Are there any questions of council prior to us voting on this 2024 Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program Consolidated Plan and the 2020 Annual Action Plan? That's what we're voting on, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope. No, thank you.
I'll have a motion from
So moved.
McKellar, a second from Broderick. All in favor?
Aye. Mayor Hines, I vote yes.
Thank you, Councilman Sellers. And so we have 5 votes in favor. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
And then we'll have Lisa, you'll be presenting M1, M2, M3.
That's correct.
And M4 has been pulled, so you just present M1, M2, M3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
So item M1 is a request that council ratify staff action authorizing payment excuse me, to Dixon Services, Inc. in the amount of $25,010 for settlement of easements and right-of-way on Cambridge Road. If you'll recall, we had managed to acquire 58 of the 59 easements from property owners along the Cambridge Road project area. We were lacking just the one, which is at the corner of Cambridge and Jeff Davis. And then back in April, council authorized us to proceed with eminent domain to acquire the easements and right-of-way we needed from these property owners. So the hearing was actually held on June 25th, and the Special Commissioner's Award did award us the right-of-way, allowing us to pay the Straits $25,000 for that right-of-way. And then, of course, the extra $10 is just a fee that Dixon Services put on because they did actually take care of a lot of the paperwork for us at the courthouse. So the total payment to Dixon was $25,010 for the acquisition of this right-of-way.
Sure hate to go through that process, but if we had 50 out of 59, we needed to move forward with this project. So thank you all very much for facilitating that.
Exactly. Move to approve.
Motion by Westbrook.
Second.
Second by McGee. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Councilman Sellers?
Mayor Hines, I vote yes.
Thank you very much. So we have 5-0 vote. M2?
Okay. M2 is a request to consider ratifying expenditures. The total amount of expenditures is $594,183.82. And this is for work performed by both A.E. Schul and Company and KSA Engineers, Inc. for an emergency repair of a storm drain channel which is located behind the property at 5602 Regents Row. This property is north of Reek and west of Copeland. There is an existing drainage channel that runs north from Reek along the east side of this property, and then it makes a 90-degree turn and runs along that northern property line of this property on Regents. And once it makes that 90-degree turn, it goes from a natural drainage channel into a concrete line channel. And the south edge of the channel, which is the north edge of that property, had a vertical concrete retaining wall serving as that side of the channel. And then this gentleman's property was being held up by that retaining wall, and then he also had a privacy fence on top of the retaining wall. The concrete channel, we became aware in March that the concrete channel was failing. We were in the process of trying to make some temporary repairs so that we could then regroup and figure out how we were going to make a permanent repair, because as the channel fell and broke away from the retaining wall, it began to seriously undermine that retaining wall, and we were obviously afraid the retaining wall would fail, which would then take out this gentleman's property. And unfortunately, while we were trying to make those temporary repairs, we had a significant rainfall event. The retaining wall fell, and it took out a significant amount of this gentleman's property. So we scrambled and got KSA and A. Schul involved so that we could design a permanent repair, which they did. Rather than going back in with just that open concrete channel, we did decide to install 4 60-inch diameter storm drain pipes to carry the flow of this channel. So we've covered that section of the channel. We've restored the or not really the landscaping, but the yard. Right. So all of those repairs have been made. Everything looks great. And because of the emergency nature of this, staff did authorize all of this work and the payments to both KSA and to A. Schul.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on M2?
So moved.
Motion by McKellar, a second by
Second.
Broderick. All in favor? Aye.
Mr. Mayor, I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. That's a 5-0 vote. Thank you, Linda. M3.
Alrighty, and then this item is a request to execute a construction contract with Graycon Construction, Inc. This is for some improvements at the Southside Wastewater Treatment Plant off of Cumberland Road. The plant currently has two primary clarifiers, which you can see in the little photograph. Those are the two large circular structures in the lower right-hand corner of that picture. Those primary clarifiers are a primary treatment method which have not been in operation for many, many years. And so the clarifiers have just sat not operational. The mechanical equipment has deteriorated. Unfortunately, not having those clarifiers in service drastically decreases the amount of flow that the plant is able to treat. So we do actually need to get those clarifiers back in operational condition so that we can treat up to our permitted flow amount. And while we were making those improvements, staff identified some other miscellaneous improvements at the headworks and with the sludge pump station that we would like to make while we're in here working at this plant. So we added that work in as well. So that
That's okay.
that's okay.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's okay.
So we did
It just
complete.
kind of provides the backup music for Lisa.
That's right. So we did complete the design. We publicly advertised for bids. We did receive 5 bidders, and Graycon Construction was the low bid at $3,369,750. And staff does recommend that we award the contract to Graycon.
It's a great project. Thank you for doing that. We've known that we needed to deal with this, so this is great.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you for doing it.
Move to approve, sir.
Second.
A motion by Westbrook, a second by McKellar. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I vote yes.
Okay, so we have 5 votes in favor. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And item M4 is pulled, so now we're at the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Broderick, a second by Westbrook. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Linda. Opposed? None, so the ayes have it. Now we're to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just as a kind of an FYI, one of the things we'll be starting up, you saw yesterday at the Commissioners Court meeting, is to having Net Health come do a monthly presentation to the 2 different bodies, the City Council and to the Commissioners Court. You will have Net Health here at your first meeting of each month to give a presentation and discussion on the status of the COVID-19 pandemic and what is going on in the community. So just kind of have y'all be aware of that for the next upcoming meeting. A couple of different road projects and the like I want to bring to y'all's attention. East Grande there is a issue that we've been working on that one. AE Shoal continues to work on the storm drain repair on East Grande between Roans Quarter Road and Highway 110. They have completed the repair under the road and have moved on to repair in the median. This means they were able to open one eastbound lane for through traffic as of this past Monday. The inner eastbound lane remains closed to allow workers enough room to make the repair in the median. And so we are, barring weather delays, Shoal hopes to have all repairs completed and the road fully open by the end of this week. On the Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard corridor enhancements that were mentioned earlier during the half-cent presentation, construction of the sidewalk is about 50% complete, and construction of the storm sewer near North Parkdale Drive is about 75% complete. The Union Pacific Railroad has replaced their road crossing on MOK, and we're currently waiting for a proposal to replace several damaged signal poles at Palace. You know, even though with COVID-19 going on and just so much of everything kind of shut down or kind of things put in quarantine mode, Keep Tyler Beautiful has continued to work with the community for volunteer efforts. Last week they hosted a 2-day event for 26 volunteers from Hands Up Network Students from Flint Baptist Student Ministry took on 5 beautification projects as part of their summer camp experience. And these paintings include 30-plus feet of concrete steps at Fun Forest Pool that they painted, the 3 metal pavilions at Hillside Soccer Field that they painted. They planted azalea bushes at Native Plant Gardens and much more. They donated a total of 182 service hours, all while keeping social distancing and wearing face masks. And then this week, Keep Tyler Beautiful hosted a 3-day event for 20 young volunteers from Trinity Lutheran Church. And this volunteer group served a total of 135 service hours with hands-on projects including litter cleanup at Southside Trails and Park, and restoring flower beds at the Goodman Museum, and removing weeds from the Native Plant Garden. One of the things that we had success with is, especially as we kind of continue to work on what is the new normal, is with working with the county on jury selection. We used the Rose Garden Center last week, which we've been preparing for. They needed, in order to do, Judge Kennedy needed to select the grand juries, and with that, we needed to have a place large enough here in Tyler in Smith County to be able to host that. So we were able to do that at the Rose Garden Center, where we installed portable metal detectors, temperature checks, social distancing directions on the floor, and a mock-up courtroom. The event went incredibly well, and everyone was wearing masks and even being complimentary to the social distance layout. We enjoyed working with Judge Kennedy on this one, and everyone who helped make that morning a success. One of the things that has been of concern for us has been the seniors in our community. With the senior center shut down, and the concern about especially the adverse impact that COVID-19 has on our seniors, we've been very careful about that and asking them to stay at home as much as possible. But this is a group that does need to have some level of just socialization. And so one of the things that the library staff has taken on as a special project has been to ask the public to drop off letters or to submit letters for the Tyler Senior Center folks to cheer up their days. And so letters can be dropped off at the library or mailed directly to the Senior Center, and we'll take those and make sure that those get out to our senior citizens who are part of our different programs. And as kind of a last note to continue in that light, one of the big programs we have is Texercise. It's a vital program for many of our seniors in our city. They get their exercise from it. It's an opportunity for them to get up, to do dancing, and to also, like I said, get exercise at the same time. And so with that, some of them have been really missing this. We had a resident reach out to us that she was having issues viewing the program on Channel 3. And so Bob Malden went to the rescue for this one. And we want to give him a special as far as just thank you for his call to serve spirit. He copied the program to a DVD and personally delivered it out to her where she lived out near the airport.
Cool.
Sadly, the equipment was too old to play the DVD, but we do appreciate Bob taking that on, volunteering to put that together for her, knowing that she wanted to be able to participate with that more. So we appreciate the thought and actions that he put into that. He truly was called to serve. So that finishes off my report.
Do I need to buy her a DVD?
That's it. Yeah, talk to Bob about what the specifications on it.
I will. Okay.
Mr. City Manager,
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask about the 29th Street railroad track. Is that included in the repairs?
On the 29th Street, I don't...
What's that, Confederate?
I don't know that one was. I know the MLK one was the one that we had negotiated with with Union Pacific on that one. But for replacing that one, I do not believe that this was part of this project. No, ma'am. I mean, we'll check on it just as far as the status.
It is a 10-year process to work with UP. And so I'm just amazed that we even got this done. Right. Okay, because it's been
That's
forever.
a very busy subdevelopment in that area, as you know.
But it
Lots
can
of traffic there.
Yeah, put something on the list. 10 years later, and UP will respond.
Well,
Thank you.
isn't it a case where if they volunteer to replace one, then the city has no financial obligation?
correct.
And then, but if we request it, then we bear the expense
entire
of the
cost.
repair.
We do.
Yes. And
But-
we wait 10 years for it.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah, and that's the difficult part is, even if we budget the money, we put it aside and say, hey, we as a city will take on the cost of replacing it, because it's still owned by Union Pacific, and Union Pacific is a very bureaucratic organization. It is a multi-year process to get
Well, they
them
actually have
to
more power
get
than
that
the federal
approved.
government.
Right.
They do.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Still settling.
I didn't come.
So that's right. Okay, so I'll entertain motions to adjourn.
Move to approve.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Linda, we don't have to have your vote for that.
Thank you.